طيب شيخنا, question number 2, actually one from the most difficult questions, not for Muslims only, for even those who do not believe in Allah, they think about this question, that السؤال القدري والجبري, القدرية والجبرية. Do people have free will, or just people have, let us say, يعني جبرية, that they are مجبورين to make something?
So again, Shaykh, mashallah, your questions are very amiq, very deep, very philosophical, and we are in a quick Q&A round, and it is very difficult to give justice to this answer. And in fact, I have not even given a very long topic in this, because
do you believe in determinism, or do you believe in free will?
So this simplistic notion, aslan, itself is mistaken. The simplistic notion of either this or that. Shaykh al-Kareem, in my humble opinion, the issue of qadr and predestination and the ilm of Allah and the mashi'a of Allah and the irada of Allah, this issue is something that our limited minds will never be able to fully comprehend. Our finite minds can never understand the infinity of Allah's qudra and khalq and power. And it is a mistake to assume that we will be able to understand. Who exactly are we to imagine that our aql is going to understand the qudra and the ilm of Allah Azza wa Jal? So the less we think about this, and in fact in our Sunni tradition there's a very interesting hadith in Sunan al-Tirmidhi, that the only time, according to our Sunni tradition, the Sahaba had an ikhtilaf over aqeedah in the time of the Prophet was over this issue of qadr. In Sunan al-Tirmidhi, it is narrated that some of the Sahaba began speaking, that the Quran seems to suggest a type of free will. And others said, but the Quran seems to also suggest that, there is no free will. And according to the hadith, the Prophet came out, muhmar al-wajh, his face was angry and red. And he goes, Abi hadha umirtum, did I command you to do this? To try to find the Qurans, fighting each other, or not fighting each other, but using verses of the Quran against each other? Right?
But he said also, كل شيء مكتوب على الإنسان شقي أم سعيد.
So
the question here is, let me ask you the question clearly, then I'm going to listen to your answer.
The question itself is flawed.
لا, not flawed. I'm asking a regular question. Millions of people are asking it. It's regular question, عقلي
هل الإنسان مخير أم مجبور؟
لا مخير ومسير. أنا أسأل سؤال واضح وصريح.
Yes.
Do Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala write upon us what we're going to do or no?
So again, Shaykh, you want a simplistic answer for a very deep question. No. And this is the problem. Allah Azza wa Jal, by virtue of the fact that He is alimul ghayb, alamul ghuyub, must know everything.
What about His willing?
Shaykh, let me finish. Go ahead. He must know everything.
No.
If He does not know, then a'udhu billah, this is tanqis fi ilm Allah. And that's why even the Mu'tazila did not negate Allah's ilm.
No.
Even the Mu'tazila. So no Muslim who prays 5 times a day. حكي عن بعض الناس بس no فرقة. No فرقة. Right? Yes, you had Ibn Sina, but no فرقة. Denied Allah's ilm. Okay. جيد. The ikhtilaf comes that does Allah's mashi'a overcome our mashi'a?
Yeah, this is the main question.
Okay, this is another issue.
Forget about al-ilm. Let us go to al-mashi'a wal-willing.
So in order to be our time frame, I'm going to answer in a different way. I believe it is not possible for our minds and our language to understand this reality. Therefore, what we should do is affirm Allah is all powerful, affirm Allah is all knowledgeable, affirm that nothing happens without His knowledge and mashi'a and qudra. We affirm that fi haqqillah. And we live our lives as if we have free will.
But وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَنْ يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. How to explain this ayah?
So it's very easy to explain in the sense of the Quran, because لِمَنْ شَاءَ مِنْكُمْ مَنْ يَسْتَقِيمُ. Allah affirms a mashi'a. Allah Azza wa Jal says, you have a mashi'a. Then Allah Azza wa Jal makes it contingent, but you cannot.
If we cannot reach to the ilm of Allah, or the qudra of Allah, or the mashi'a of Allah, and we cannot even explain it, or we cannot imagine it, why He Himself talks about it?
Because it's always done in the context of praising Allah's magnificence and Allah's power. It is never done to tell us, don't do anything because you cannot do anything. Al-aqs, the Quran always tells us, i'malu, wa qul i'malu, right? And Allah tells us to pray and Allah tells us to fast. The entire Quran is commandments.
Why we have to make ilm and He written upon us what we're going to do? What's the purpose of the dua then?
So when the Quran, to affirm Allah's power and to therefore submit to Allah's magnificence without affecting our actions. The Quran is full of action-based verbs. So what I'm trying to say is, to be very simplistic, and again, this is a quick Q&A, so I know the critics can always deconstruct everything, but I have to say something that comes across as contradictory. We affirm Allah's omnipotence, Allah's all-powerful, Allah's mashia is nafida, we affirm all of this, and we live our lives as if we have free will.
Without understanding.
No, we affirm it.
We cannot reach to the understanding.
But we affirm Allah's magnificence.
Yeah, we know
and
that.
But we don't know what is written for our
But how
qadr.
to worship, Shaykh? Again, this is not my talk, but I'm bringing even kalam al-mulhideen, the atheist people or whatever. They ask this question, and if you do not know Allah, because now you said we cannot imagine how Allah is written everything upon us, and we also should do وَقَلْ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَ اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ. For the question here is coming that how could you worship someone, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you don't know the simple question, the simplest question in the world, which is Allah has written everything upon us, why we have to make dua, why we have to worship. He written upon us, will we be in Jannah or hellfire? Why we have to...
It's a very simple response to this. You do not know what is written. So you assume what is written is what you want.
Let me ask in different way, Shaykh. Being that Allah has written, you will be in Jannah or hellfire, wal-'iyadhu billah, why He is punishing you, and He written before you come that you will be among hellfire people or Jannah people?
Jayyid. So this question has been asked since the beginning of time, before Islam.
Nah.
And it was asked in the time. And Iblis himself is making i'tirad of Allah Azza wa Jal, that قَالَ رَبِّ بِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي. Iblis himself, احتج بالقدر. He used qadr to justify what he had done. You were the one who did this. You set it up, basically. It was already flawed from the beginning. And at some level,
but the question is, Shaykh, why Allah is punishing Iblis?
This
is the question.
This is why Al-Hallaj himself said the same thing.
And I'm asking the question that why He is punishing Iblis, and He written upon Iblis, he will be disobeying Allah. So this is the question.
So this
why He's punishing non-believers, and He has written upon them they will be non-believers before even they came.
Again, Shaykh, you're asking, mashallah, very philosophical questions, and this Q&A has 10 questions. Okay. And I have given actually not just an entire lecture, I've written a paper about this topic. Every single firqa, from the Mu'tazila to the Maturidi to the Asha'ira to the Atharis, has a response to this. Every firqa.
No.
But, and I'm being honest with you, every one of their responses, it will not satisfy the philosopher. It will not satisfy even the
Ammi.
Sheikh,
simply, people are Jabriyin. So we are deterministic people. That's it.
No, I don't believe this at all. Al-aqs, no. To say that we are Jabri,
yes, Shaykh.
No, I don't.
He written everything on you.
Yeah, so
and you don't know how to fix the problem or how to answer the question.
No, we don't know what is written.
Sheikh, we don't have even free will to think about the answer of the question.
That's not free will. We don't have the level of intelligence. We don't have
that means free will. We don't have this free willing.
Sheikh, we are finite beings. Allah created us. لا يسأل عما يفعل وهم يسألون.
Again, this is not my view. I'm conveying the views.
We have to humble ourselves. We didn't choose our life. We didn't choose to be created.
Okay,
we didn't choose the circumstances of our birth. We didn't choose the era we were born in.
Yes, that means proof that we are Jabris.
So it's not a matter of Jabris. We thank Allah for existence.
Sheikh, how come that you don't choose to be born? You don't choose will you go Jannah or Nar, and you still not Jabri?
Because right now the way you act is completely free will. What you are saying right now is coming from your free will.
But Allah
That's why I'm saying. So you don't allow the intellectual affirmation of Allah's majesty to affect your actions. No. You don't do this for your daily routine. You don't do this for eating and drinking. You don't do this for your job. You don't do this for your risk. Only when it comes to the deen and when it comes to believing in Allah, do such people come and start saying, why should I worship Allah when Allah Azza wa Jal has written something? When it comes to eating and drinking, they don't just sit there and say, if Allah has will, it's going to jump into my mouth, right? So they selectively use this hujjah when it comes to religiosity. And when it comes to deen, they never are consistent. If
No,
they
no,
were
no, no.
consistent,
For me now, when I'm conveying the question, I'm asking about everything, even the food, even eating and drinking.
so nobody lives their life according to this philosophy.
No.
Only when it comes to tadayyun and religiosity and belief do they start bringing up
Now they start asking
hujjah
this
bil
question.
qadr.
Okay, because of the time, yeah, go ahead.
So,
You wanted to conclude something?
Yeah, the conclusion is very simple.
Yep.
In my
We cannot
humble
reach
opinion,
to think about this issue.
we affirm Allah's majesty and we live our lives as if we have complete free will. This is the solution of this problem, because you will never understand. Yani the assumption that you will be able to fully comprehend qadr is the assumption that your ilm will understand Allah's ilm. Your ilm will understand Allah's ilm. And this is a very arrogant assumption. Allah created us. Our ilm is mahdood, ma'qul is
I'm
very...
not talking about ilm, I'm talking about al-mashi'a.
So the same goes.
question was so simple, but you said that we cannot even think about it. Actually, Shaykh Jabri people, they said, وَالسُّؤَالُ عَنْهُ بِدْعَةٌ. يعني it's the same thing. خلاص, we are Jabriyin and we cannot and we have not. We must not ask about this, about these questions.
So, Shaykh,
and that's it. خلاص, we Jabri وخلاص.
The problem comes, the other group brings a very valid point, and that is that to claim that Allah has no control over the creation is really tanqis. It is a very, very disrespectful thing to say, which actually eliminates.
Mu'tazila said, but
which actually eliminates.
Al-Mu'tazila, Shaykh, اختاروا طريقهم. They chosen their way. I don't agree with them, but they said, خلاص, أنت مخير completely. Allah does not create evil.
Yes.
If you make evil, you are the one who choose that. And I don't believe in that. Just I need another question, another answer fixes the problem.
So these issues, Shaykh, have been debated for thousands of years on all of the firaq. And frankly, nobody has an answer that is 5 minute long that convinces the mukhalif.
No.
You only convince your own group.
No.
This is what I'm saying. You see ra'i al-ayn, you see it yourself, that this question is beyond the capability of the average person to understand. Really, you see this because you tell me, we have 4,000 years of recorded philosophical history. We have history beyond religion. We have the philosophers who didn't believe in any religion. Nobody has solved this problem in a simplistic 5 minute solution that people can understand. So do you think that we can solve it right here? It's not going to happen. The response, Shaykhana, is where there should be a level of humility, that what can I understand, what cannot understand. And we have to also deal with waqi'. You exist. You exist right here and now. Okay, what are you going to do with your existence? You have to think about who created me. What is the purpose of existence? Sure. What's going to happen after my death?
And my answer about this issue, it's so simple. Being that we cannot know and understand, like what you said, choose your position. Either you mukhayyar like Mu'tazila, or you Jabri like the
you should act like you're mukhayyar.
Ya Jabri, ya Musayyar.
Even the Jabri acts like they're mukhayyar. That's the reality. Only when it comes to tadayyun, they say, oh, we're Jabr, majbur. But when it comes to everything else, even the hardcore Jabri lives his life like he's mukhayyar.
طيب شيخنا, and I know the questions are so difficult and it's not easy to answer it in
وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ جَنَّتَانِ فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ